Imagine this. You're sitting with your grandchild and they ask, "Grandma, Grandpa, what was life like when you were young?" In that moment, you realize how much of your story remains untold. Not because you don't want to share it, but because life moves fast and somehow the small details slip away over time. But here's the truth. Your life story matters more than you might realize. The experiences you've lived, the lessons you've learned, the moments that shaped you. These are pieces of history, treasures that deserve to be shared. And if you don't tell them, who will? That's why today we're talking about why sharing your life story matters and 4 powerful ways to leave a lasting legacy. By the end of this video, you'll have practical steps to ensure that your wisdom, memories, and values live on for generations. Now, let's talk about the first way to preserve your story, writing it down. You might be thinking, "I'm not a writer," or "I wouldn't even know where to start." But you don't need to be a best-selling author to document your life. It's not about writing a perfect book. It's about capturing your experiences, your emotions, your truth in a way that feels natural to you. Think about the moments that shaped you, the first time you fell in love, the biggest challenge you overcame, the happiest day of your life. Start there. Even writing a few sentences a day can build into something meaningful. Journaling is a great way to begin. You don't have to follow any rules. Just write about your day, a memory that came to mind, or even a conversation you had. Over time, these small entries become a window into your life, a collection of thoughts that your loved ones can cherish. Or, if you're feeling more ambitious, consider writing a memoir. And no, it doesn't have to be long or complicated. A memoir is just a way of sharing your life experiences in a way that reflects who you are. Maybe you focus on one specific time in your life, your childhood, your career, raising a family, or perhaps you structure it around the biggest lessons you've learned. The key is to write as if you're telling a story to a close friend. One way to make it easier is to write letters to your younger self. Imagine you're sitting down with a 20-year-old version of you. What advice would you give? What stories would you share? This approach helps make writing feel more natural and gives your words a personal touch. And here's the best part. You don't need fancy equipment or expensive materials. A simple notebook and pen work just fine. But if you prefer typing, there are many online tools that can help, from basic word processors to guided memoir writing programs. Now, maybe you're thinking, "That sounds great, but I don't have the time to write every day." That's completely okay. The goal isn't to put pressure on yourself, it's to enjoy the process. You could set aside just 10 minutes a day or write once a week, whatever feels right for you. And remember, this isn't just for others, it's for you too. Writing down your story is a way to reflect, to appreciate how far you've come, and to connect with your past in a meaningful way. Now that we've talked about writing, let's move on to another powerful way to capture your story, recording your personal stories on video. Now that we've talked about writing your life story, let's explore another powerful way to preserve your legacy, recording your personal stories on video. You see, while writing is a wonderful way to capture your experiences, video adds something extra special: your voice, your expressions, your presence. Imagine your great-grandchildren, decades from now, watching a video of you sharing stories in your own words. It's as if they get to meet you, even if they never had the chance in real life. That's the power of video. It brings memories to life in a way nothing else can. And here's the best part. You don't need fancy equipment or professional skills to do this. All you need is a smartphone, a tablet, or even a basic camera. Most of us already have a device that can record video, so why not use it to tell your story? But I know what you might be thinking: "I wouldn't know what to say," or "I feel awkward on camera." That's completely normal. The trick is to keep it simple. You don't need to deliver a perfect speech or memorize a script. Just sit down in a quiet space, press record, and talk as if you're chatting with an old friend. To make it easier, start with small prompts. Think about questions like, "What was my childhood like? What's the best advice I ever received? What's one life lesson I want to pass on? What's my proudest moment? How did I meet my spouse?" Pick a question, press record, and just talk. Even if you pause or stumble over words, that's okay. In fact, those little imperfections make your video feel more real and heartfelt. Now, let's talk about how to make your videos more engaging. One great idea is to include objects that tell a story. Maybe you hold up an old photo and talk about the memory behind it. Or maybe you show a family heirloom, a watch, a piece of jewelry, an old letter, and explain why it's meaningful. These little details make your stories more vivid and personal. Another great tip: get your family involved. Invite your children, grandchildren, or even close friends to sit with you and ask questions. A simple conversation can spark beautiful memories and make the recording feel more natural. Plus, it turns the process into a shared experience, something you'll cherish forever. And here's the thing: your videos don't need to be long. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even just 1 minute can be enough to capture a special memory. The important thing is starting. Once you've recorded a few videos, you might wonder, where should I save them? Fortunately, there are plenty of options. You can store them on your computer, an external hard drive, or a cloud service like Google Drive or iCloud. If you want to share them with family, you can upload them privately to YouTube or Facebook. That way your loved ones can access them anytime, from anywhere in the world. And if you're worried about technology, don't be. If you need help, ask a family member or friend to assist you with recording and saving your videos. They'll likely be excited to help because they'll know how precious these recordings will be in the future. Now, I want you to imagine something. Years from now, your grandchildren or great-grandchildren come across your video. They hear your voice, see your smile, and listen to the wisdom you left behind. That's the power of recording your story. It keeps your presence alive in a way that words on a page simply can't. So, if you've ever thought, I wish I could tell my future generations about my life, this is your chance. You don't need to be a filmmaker, and you don't need to be perfect on camera. You just need to be yourself and share what's in your heart. Now that we've covered writing and recording videos, let's move on to another meaningful way to leave a legacy: sharing your life lessons with your family. Now that we've talked about writing your story and recording your memories on video, let's move on to something even more personal: sharing your life lessons directly with your family. You see, leaving a legacy isn't just about writing down what happened in your life. It's also about passing on the wisdom you've gained, the lessons, values, and experiences that shaped you. These are the things that can guide your loved ones long after you're gone. And the best part? You don't have to wait to share them. You can start right now. Think about it. How many times have you wished that someone had told you something sooner in life? Maybe a piece of advice that would have saved you heartache, or a perspective that would have helped you make a better decision. Imagine if you could give that gift to your children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren. The first step is being intentional about sharing. It's easy to assume that our family members will just pick up our wisdom over time, but that's not always the case. Life gets busy, and sometimes the most important lessons are left unsaid. But you can change that. So, how do you start? The easiest way is through conversations. You don't need to sit everyone down for a serious lecture. In fact, casual moments, like a walk, a family dinner, or even a phone call, can be the perfect time to share. For example, let's say your grandchild is struggling with self-doubt. Instead of just offering encouragement, share a story from your own life. Maybe you once doubted yourself too, but took a risk that changed everything. That personal experience will stick with them far more than generic advice ever could. Another great way to share wisdom is through letters or voice messages. You could write a letter to your children or grandchildren, offering them the advice you wish someone had given you. If writing feels too formal, you can record an audio message. Imagine them listening to your voice years from now, hearing your words of encouragement when they need them most. And don't be afraid to share your mistakes too. Often, the most valuable lessons come from times we failed, struggled, or faced challenges. Your family doesn't need to see you as perfect. They need to see you as real. Telling them about the times you got things wrong shows them that mistakes are part of life, and more importantly, that they can overcome them. One of the most powerful things you can do is create a life lessons book, a simple notebook where you write down key pieces of wisdom you want to pass on. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just jot down things like, what truly matters in life? What do you wish you had known earlier? What lessons helped you become who you are? Over time, this book will become a treasure, something your family can turn to whenever they need guidance. And here's something else to consider: your values. What do you stand for? What principles guided your decisions throughout life? Maybe it's kindness, resilience, faith, or honesty. Whatever it is, be intentional about living those values out loud so your family can see them in action. Because at the end of the day, people don't just remember what you say. They remember how you lived, the way you treat others, the way you handle challenges, the way you love. That's the real legacy you leave behind. Now, before we move on to our final way of preserving your story, take a moment to think. What is one lesson you would want your family to remember forever? Because that lesson is worth sharing. In the next section, we'll talk about a creative and visual way to capture your life's journey, creating a photo album with stories. We've talked about writing your life story, recording personal videos, and sharing your wisdom with family. Now, let's discuss one of the most visual and heartfelt ways to preserve your legacy: creating a photo album with stories. Think about it. How often do you find yourself looking through old photos and suddenly feeling a rush of memories? A single picture can bring back an entire moment, a feeling, even the voices and laughter of loved ones. But here's the thing. Photos alone don't tell the full story. That's why pairing them with personal stories is so powerful. You see, many of us have albums or boxes full of pictures, but as time passes, the details behind them can fade. Who was in that picture? What was happening that day? Why did it matter so much? If we don't capture those details, future generations may never know the true meaning behind those images. So, here's what you can do. Create a photo album with handwritten or recorded stories to go with each picture. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just take some of your favorite pictures, maybe of your childhood, your wedding day, your first home, or even a simple afternoon with family, and write down a short memory next to each one. For example, imagine a photo of your childhood home. Instead of just labeling it "Our House in 1955, write something like, "This was the house where I learned how to ride a bike. My father held the back of the seat, running alongside me until I finally took off on my own. I fell a few times, but I'll never forget the feeling of finally pedaling without help." See the difference? That memory brings the photo to life. If writing isn't your thing, you can record audio or video explanations instead. You could sit down with a family member, go through the photos together, and share the stories out loud while they record you. That way, not only do they get the stories, but they also get to see your expressions, hear your laughter, and feel your emotions. Now, some people like to organize their albums by theme rather than just chronologically. You might have sections like "The Greatest Adventures of My Life," highlighting travels, big milestones, or moments of courage. "The People Who Shaped Me," photos with parents, teachers, mentors, or close friends who influenced you. "Lessons I Learned Along the Way," photos that represent valuable life lessons, with a short reflection on each. This turns your album into something more than just a collection of pictures. It becomes a legacy book, something your family will treasure forever. And here's a beautiful idea. Make copies and gift them to your loved ones. Imagine your grandchildren flipping through an album that not only shows your life in pictures, but also shares the wisdom and stories behind them. That's something that will last for generations. Now, maybe you're thinking, "But I don't have all my photos organized." That's okay. You don't need to have everything perfect. Start small. Pick a handful of pictures that mean the most to you, write a few stories, and build from there. The important thing is to start. Because at the end of the day, our stories, our experiences, lessons, and memories are what truly connect us. And the more we share them, the more we ensure that our legacy lives on. So, whether you choose to write, record, speak, or create a visual album, just remember this. Your life matters. Your story matters. And the people you love will cherish every word, every picture, and every lesson you leave behind. And if this video inspired you, take a moment today, right now, to share one story with someone you love. Because the best time to start preserving your legacy is today.